It was a sunny Monday afternoon. Leila, a 14-year-old girl with bright eyes and a curious mind, walked home from school as usual. The streets were noisy with vendors shouting about their goods, kids playing football, and cars honking. But today was different. As Leila turned the corner near the small bush path by her school, she noticed something lying on the ground. It was a black leather wallet, shiny and stuffed so full it barely closed. Her heart raced as she picked it up. She looked around, but no one seemed to notice her. Leila opened the wallet and gasped. It was filled with crisp Naira notes. There was also a school ID card tucked inside. The name read, Omar Suleiman. Leila frowned. Omar was a boy in her class, but he was very quiet and hardly talked to anyone. He always sat at the back of the class, staring out the window or scribbling in his notebook. Should I keep it? Leila thought for a moment. Her family didn't have much money, and this wallet could solve a lot of their problems. But her conscience nudged her. It's not yours, Leila. Do the right thing. With a sigh, she tucked the wallet into her school bag and hurried home. That night, Leila couldn't sleep. She thought about the money and about Omar. Why did he have so much cash? Was he hiding something? By morning, she had made up her mind. The next day, during lunch break, Leila walked up to Omar. He was sitting alone under the big mango tree behind the school. She hesitated for a moment, then said, "Hi, Omar." Omar looked up, surprised. "Hi," he replied softly. "I found something," Leila said, pulling out the wallet from her bag. "I think it's yours." Omar's eyes widened. "You found my wallet?" He took it quickly and opened it to check. Relief washed over his face. "Thank you so much, Leila." Leila was curious and couldn't hold back her question. "Why do you have so much money, Omar? Are you rich?" Omar chuckled, a sound she hadn't heard before. "No, I'm not rich. My parents gave me the money to help my uncle, who's very sick. He lives in a village far away, and I was supposed to send it to him. When I lost the wallet, I was so scared. You saved me." Leila felt a mix of emotions. Relief that she had done the right thing, but also sadness for Omar. She realized that behind his quietness was a kind boy with a heavy burden. "Why didn't you ask anyone for help?" she asked. Omar shrugged. "People in school don't really talk to me. I thought no one would care." Leila sat down beside him, her heart softening. "Maybe people would care if you let them. I didn't know you were going through so much." As they talked, Leila began to see Omar differently. He wasn't just the quiet boy at the back of the class. He was someone with a story, someone trying his best to take care of his family. Omar, in turn, saw that Leila wasn't just another classmate. She was brave and honest. Their conversation under the mango tree was the start of something neither of them expected. From that day, Leila and Omar started talking more often. During breaks, Leila would sit with him under the mango tree, and they'd chat about school, life, and their dreams. Slowly, Omar began to open up about his struggles. "My parents are strict," Omar said one afternoon. "They always remind me how much they sacrificed to send me to school. I feel like I have to succeed no matter what, even if it means I can't enjoy my life." Leila nodded thoughtfully. She couldn't relate completely. Her parents didn't pressure her like that, but she understood how heavy responsibilities could feel. Her own family struggled to make ends meet, and sometimes she had to help her mom sell vegetables at the market. One day, after school, Omar handed Leila a small folded note. "Thank you again for finding my wallet," he said shyly. "I wanted to give you this." Leila opened the note and found a drawing inside. It was of the mango tree with two small figures sitting under it, her and Omar. The detail amazed her. "Wow, Omar, this is beautiful. I didn't know you could draw." Omar smiled faintly. "It's my way of escaping," he said. "When I draw, I feel like I'm in a different world, where things aren't so hard." Leila studied the drawing, her heart warming. "You're really talented, Omar. You should show your work to more people." Omar shook his head. "No one would care. People don't notice me. Remember?" But Leila had an idea. The next day in class, she told their art teacher about Omar's talent. The teacher, Mr. Ade, was thrilled and asked Omar to share his sketches with the class. At first, Omar was nervous, but with Leila's encouragement, he agreed. When Omar displayed his drawings, the entire class was stunned. The sketches weren't just good, they were amazing. He had drawn the school, their classmates, even some funny cartoons that made everyone laugh. "That's incredible, Omar," one of the boys said. "Can you draw me next?" Another classmate asked. For the first time, Omar felt seen and appreciated. He smiled more that day than Leila had ever seen. After class, Leila nudged him playfully. "See? I told you people would care." Omar laughed. "Maybe you're right." But even as things improved, Leila couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Omar's story. Why did he always seem so burdened, even when he smiled? She decided to find out. One evening, Leila followed Omar after school. She didn't mean to be nosy, but she wanted to understand him better. She watched as he walked to a small shop, bought some medicine, and then boarded a kiki tricycle. Curiosity got the best of her, and she followed in another kiki. The ride was long, and they eventually arrived at a rundown area on the edge of town. Leila watched as Omar entered a tiny house with cracked walls and a sagging roof. Through the open window, she saw Omar kneel beside a sickly old man lying on a mat. The man coughed weakly as Omar gave him the medicine and some food he had bought earlier. Leila's chest tightened. Omar wasn't just quiet or shy. He was carrying a huge responsibility all by himself. She stayed hidden until Omar left the house. When he saw her, his eyes widened in shock. "Leila? What are you doing here?" "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I wasn't trying to spy. I wanted to understand you better." Omar sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's my uncle," he said. "He's the only family I have here. My parents send money for his care, but it's never enough. I visit him after school to make sure he's okay." Leila felt a lump in her throat. "Why didn't you tell anyone, Omar? You don't have to do this alone." "I don't want people to pity me," he replied. "And I didn't think anyone would care." Leila placed a hand on his shoulder. "I care, Omar. And maybe others would too if you let them in." From that moment, Leila made it her mission to help Omar. But she didn't realize the challenges that lay ahead. Leila was determined to help Omar, but she knew she couldn't do it alone. The next day, she came up with a plan. During break time, she gathered a few of their classmates under the mango tree. "Omar needs our help," she began, her voice steady but urgent. The other students listened as Leila explained Omar's situation. At first, some looked skeptical, but when Omar hesitantly shared his story, their expressions softened. "I never asked for anyone's pity," Omar said quietly. "But I can't thank Leila enough for showing me that people care." Touched by his words, the students rallied together. Some donated money, while others brought food, clothes, and supplies. Even the teachers got involved when they heard the story. A week later, Leila and Omar led a group of classmates to Omar's uncle's house. When they arrived, the frail man sat up in surprise as the students poured in, carrying bags of food and medicine. "Who are all these people?" Omar's uncle asked, his voice weak but curious. "They're my friends," Omar replied, his voice cracking with emotion. The old man's eyes filled with tears as the students set everything down and began chatting with him. For the first time in a long while, the small house felt alive with laughter and hope. From that day forward, Omar was no longer the lonely boy in the back of the class. He became an active part of the school community, and his artwork gained recognition beyond their small town. As for Leila, she felt proud, not just for helping Omar but for proving that small acts of kindness could create a ripple effect. One afternoon, as they sat under the mango tree, Omar handed Leila a new drawing. This one was of her, standing tall and smiling, with the words "True Friend" written beneath it. "Thank you, Leila," Omar said. "You changed my life." Leila smiled, holding the drawing close. "No, Omar, you changed mine too." And from that day on, the two remained inseparable, proof that even the smallest decisions, like returning a wallet, could lead to the biggest changes.